Hey, did you see that brand new Zelda Wii U and NX artwork that leaked from Amazon earlier today? You probably did, since we did a whole update on it and it's all over the internet. And during our update, we even point out a couple of areas of interest in a sort of mini analysis. But you know what? Screw it. We're going all in on this baby and providing you with a full thing courtesy of the All Analysis machine. So let's get started. Okay, so of course the key takeaway here is that Link is freaking rock climbing. Yeah, apparently not even Hyrule can escape the fun of this rapidly expanding sport. Now, granted, climbing walls is nothing new for Link, except before there were always vines or ivy or at least something for him to grasp onto. Whereas this time, there doesn't appear to be anything particularly distinct about this cliff face, which suggests he may be able to clamber up just about any rock face or mountain or cliff in the game. And even more impressive is the fact that Link's apparently doing this without any kind of specialized gear, even by Zelda standards. I mean, he appears to be using nothing more than his partially gloved hands, and he isn't using any kind of special item or magic ability from what we can tell. Which means that this is likely an ability you'll have from the very start of the game, or maybe one you'll learn after a short tutorial or something. And the fact that he's still wearing the blue outfit instead of his usual green tunic supports this idea, although we still have no idea when or if he'll even acquire his usual green garb. Okay, now rock climbing is obviously a dangerous sport, but it seems Link's not completely helpless if he screws up. Because it was revealed back in the Game Awards footage that he'll have a sailcloth-like item too, which he can then use to not only glide back to the ground, but glide as far as it'll take him. So between this apparent new rock climbing ability and a sailcloth item, it's been made even clearer that verticality is going to play a much bigger role than ever before. And this is supported by the fact that we can see what might be several towers in the field below. There's the one we point out in our update near the cathedral-like structure, and there appears to be another in the distance behind it, as well as what could be a third to the right. And there might be one more yet just below Link here, although it is possible it's just a rock too. It could be a bit hard to tell. Now we've actually seen these towers before, back in the Game Awards footage, and back then we pointed out that they didn't appear to have guardrails. So it seems like these towers really will play a prominent role in the game. But while their exact use still isn't entirely clear, this new rock climbing ability supports our idea from our earlier analysis in that Link will be able to leap from these towers and use a sailcloth item to reach areas he may not be able to otherwise, which probably includes, as we now know, cliff faces as well. So for example, if there's part of a cliff that juts out far above ground, using a tower and the sailcloth to reach it might be your only option. So taken all together, this could make getting around the world a puzzle in and of itself. We can already see what might be hints of this with the varied elevations below. I mean, it's changing constantly, including the first tower we mentioned, which appears to be on much higher ground than the field below. But of course, with Link's rock climbing ability, he might just be able to climb right up to it. Okay, so if Link doesn't need any items or special abilities to rock climb, that begs the question, are there any limits on where he can go? I mean, beyond the ones we've already mentioned. Well, we have an idea. Now, we've already pointed out before some of the similarities that Zelda Wii U has to Skyward Sword, including the fact that Link appears to be right-handed, as well as the aforementioned sailcloth on top of a couple others. So we can't help but wonder the stamina meter might be returning here as well, which previously limited his more extreme movements, including climbing to some degree. So what if Link is only able to climb for as long as the stamina meter holds out? And perhaps the amount of stamina he has will increase throughout the course of the game. Now we're just spitballing here, but this could be a smart way of limiting the areas Link can explore until certain points and would provide a further use of the sailcloth, which would ensure that Link always has a safe way back to the ground if he runs out of energy. Okay, that's enough on rock climbing for now, but let's take a look at what the rest of the image might reveal. And let's start with what we pointed out before is almost certainly Death Mountain, and is still looking as deadly as always, with smoke bellowing out the top and lava pouring down the sides. And though it's hard to say for sure how close or far it really is, even the jagged mountainous peaks in front look intimidating. They almost look like shark fins. Now it is worth bringing up something that we pointed out before, and that's the fact that this may not technically be Death Mountain, because it also bears resemblance to Elden Volcano from Skyward Sword, which as we also mentioned before, many believe was a precursor to what eventually became Death Mountain. And at this point, it wouldn't really surprise us given the other possible Skyward Sword connections. At any rate, if we assume Death Mountain is to the north, as it often is, then that means the time of day here is probably the morning as opposed to the evening, with the sun rising in the east. So who would have guessed that rock climbing is Link's version of the morning constitutional? A hero's gotta stay in shape after all. But here's something interesting. Death Mountain is oftentimes the farthest north that Link can travel, and yet in this picture we can see mountains extend even further behind it, which means that you might just be able to circumnavigate the entire thing. Now in front and to the left of Death Mountain, or Elden Volcano, is a castle-looking structure with what appears to be some kind of dark magic spiral thing emanating from around it. Could this be Hyrule Castle? Those spires sure do look similar, and it wouldn't be the first time the castle's fallen under a spell. And it also looks like it may be hard to get to, as it appears that there may be a gulf separating it from the mainland. And by the way, given its location, it might just be the exact same structure we pointed out as possibly being Hyrule Castle way back in our first analysis. And check this out. Did you notice the four structures that surround the castle jutting out from the ground at an angle? Could they be related, or maybe even the source of the strange magic happening here? Maybe they're what prevents Link from accessing the castle. And here's an idea for you. What if those 4 structures tie into the rumor we've heard that there being 4 primary dungeons in the game? So perhaps each dungeon is linked to one of those structures. Hey, who knows? Now, just southwest of what might be Hyrule Castle is what appears to be a cathedral-looking structure, which itself is just west of the first tower that we pointed out before. Although it is possible that this structure is just a very oddly shaped mountain. It really is hard to say. Either way, we can see a hill that extends up from the base of it and extends around it. Now, across from this structure is something else that stood out to us. Do you see that little thing in the cliff edge there, just right at the tower? It's impossible to say what it is for sure, but it did remind us of a similar looking structure, one that was almost equally hard to see, back in the Nintendo Direct trailer, which we pegged as possibly being a TP at the time. So if this is indeed a similar object, these might just be found all over the world too. Or maybe it's even the same one. Again, it's hard to say. And speaking of odd looking structures, we noticed one more east of Death Mountain that looks like it could be some kind of building. Or it might just be a mountain again. I tell ya, looking at this artwork is like analyzing an ink blot test. And finally, we noticed there might be a river running through the middle of the field in front of Death Mountain. And from the looks of it, it's possible it may be coming from these mountains too. Although that could just be fog too, it really is hard to say. But assuming it isn't, the third tower that we mentioned before could possibly be a waterfall emerging from a hole in the wall here. Again, like I said, the thing's like an ink blot test. And with that, that's everything we could dig up on the latest artwork for Zelda Wii U and NX. But as usual, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Zelda Wii U and NX from E3 and other things gaming as well.